That is so important to define here. That's actually a large part of what a man's happiness is. I want my gold
Mhm.
star from society. So you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. You stay. Look, marriage is finding different reasons to stay until you can achieve the next phase. I don't see anything wrong with what you said. I'm staying for the optics, I'm staying for the kids because that's actually a large part of my joy. You see what I'm saying? But that's the way men look at it. The reason women may check out is because they believe marriage is actually about happiness, right? So the second they don't feel any happiness for a little bit, maybe they're ready to exit the relationship. But the optics is, do you not realize, like, this is why 80% of Fortune 500 CEOs are married. They don't need, they can have any woman they want, but it's for the optics. They will be
Absolutely.
excommunicated out of certain
That's
circles. They,
absolute facts.
so
Absolute
you
facts.
see what I'm saying? Like, that is a part of my happiness. I don't want to look like a failure. I tell everybody all the time, um if the if whether it's my fault or not, if I end up getting divorced, I'm going into hiding. I failed. I don't want to see my family. I don't want to see anyone. This is a big thing. Everyone in my family's married and found a way to make it work for the optics and for they don't want to be excommunicated out of the circle of trust, out of the family. So I think that's a big thing you
Mm.
touched on.
So let me add to
Yeah.
that too. Ben, I mean, let me just say this: one of the biggest, most damaging things that we all heard last year was Tia Mowry on her happiness victory tour, leaving her marriage, leaving her kids, leaving her vows, leaving her husband, everything because she's not. And she made it clear that she wasn't happy, and she called it graduation. I mean, as far as I was concerned, that was some of the most damaging commentary from a woman that I heard on the airways in a very long time. Because
So,
well, okay, but go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead.
No,
You finish.
only reason why I'm saying is, and there's a lot of reasons why I'm saying this, because happiness, that's definitely not in the vows. Okay, I mean, your love, cherished, and all that kind of stuff. Happiness is definitely fleeting. So what's she gonna do now that she's not married? If she becomes unhappy for a day, a week, 2 weeks? Uh,
So,
she had two young kids, 11 and 4. She had a man that nobody can say did anything wrong to her, or that we know of, because she didn't lead with that. And then she goes on this graduation tour, and then she holds this guy on a tether on every vacation by having optics, right? Her picture is like, oh, I got this, clown sitting here while I'm leaving him. And let me tell you, I mean, there's a unspoken reason why she left as well, and everybody knows it, but nobody wants to say it, especially a man can't say it. So, um,
I know why.
I think it was just destructive. I just think she was very destructive. But I'll let you go. But Lady T,
She
so
left. Yeah.
I
let
think.
Muggle.
Hold on. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna speak. It's 11:11. Make a wish, but I'm not gonna speak on why she decided to leave. I do feel like since you brought it up, and I forgot what I was gonna say about what Mike said earlier. I think that what she did was kind of fraudulent. I don't feel like similar to what Express said earlier. I feel like she's in pain, like, and putting on a show. When somebody has to overcompensate and pretend that they're
Hmm.
okay, but they're not. That's what that tour was. Like, you just got a divorce. You don't know yourself. You're going through an identity crisis, and you're trying to make it seem as though this divorce is somehow freeing you from something that you chose to be involved in, and you chose to get married, and now all of a sudden you're breaking free, and we're supposed to be convinced that you're happy, that you and your child's father that you whatever. I just
Yeah, what
wasn't
kind of pain do
convinced.
you think she was in? I mean,
No,
it's
I mean,
none.
you
The
never know.
dynamic. So you have to look at the timeline. Marriage is really all about timeline. The dynamic. This man has been a struggling actor for almost 20 years. He lands his first role. I knew there was trouble in paradise last year where she made a comment about him being paid more than her for his first sitcom role. Her first sitcom role was over 20 years ago. That was the weirdest thing to ever say about someone who's bringing money
Wait,
into
he
your
said
home.
what?
He's on that All American show. He's one of the leads on that show. And for that show, he got paid the largest sum he's ever been paid. And she made a point to say he was paid more than me. Like it's some kind of women's empowerment statement.
Oh
So
God,
that
some
tells me, that
competition.
told
Oh,
me that she, because she was the more famous person, the one who probably made more money the entire relationship, you're going to start seeing this happening in modern society. Women do not like the power dynamic shift in the relationship. So now he's the one who makes more money. She ain't got nothing. She ain't got nothing going on. You see what I'm saying?
No, I hear
uh,
that. I just want to circle back a little bit to the original question. I don't think optics are always bad, right? I think that's where the idea of covering your spouse comes from, is preserving the optics, right? When Trigger Mike at the beginning was talking about certain things that a wife should not talk about in public, that's a certain level of covering. You're preserving the optics of how he shows up in society, right? Same thing with a man staying in a marriage. There's a certain optic that he's perpetuating for her by covering, right? I think that yes, there's the negative side of optics, right? Where it's just a front and you're not actually seeing things through. But there's also a positive aspect to optics where it is beneficial for the relationship, where you know that you have room to be a human being and that this person is still going to shield what society is going to say away from any human experience, right? Any error, any misstep, any whatever, right?
Yeah,
hmm.
and just for that person in the chat that said that Corey Hardrick's still coming for her money. Well, since she graduated, she needs to pay her back tuition. Okay, so there's that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, Inaz, that the optics is a part of um covering. But I don't feel like um I don't know. So you said something about, I don't remember, I don't want to paraphrase you incorrectly, but something along the lines of um optics is covering, or covering is
Optics is
optics.
a part of covering,
Okay,
was what I.
optics are part of covering. Okay. Um a part of, okay, I can agree with that. Um, I don't think he said it that way the first time. I could be wrong though. But yeah, I was just gonna say like, yeah, because I when I want to be covered by my man, yes, of course I want to be covered in a way where like you're you're making sure that you're not embarrassing me and vice versa. So I do agree with that. But when I think about being covered, like that's second. I mean, I wouldn't think about that because I would feel like that's like he wouldn't be my man if I couldn't trust him with that. But I feel like the covering is like all the other stuff more so than the optics. And I feel like when all the other things are intact, then the optics are also intact, and you don't have to do all the extra stuff to kind of keep that intact. But yeah.
So the reason I say it like that is because, like, in an ideal world, they go hand in hand, right? But the
Mm.
reality is, life happens. People make mistakes. People lose jobs. Children don't turn out the way that you intended for them to, right? Like,
Mhm.
life just happens, and part of that covering is making sure that society doesn't look upon you negatively for just simply making a mistake, or even if to some degree of tolerance, even if it was intentional out of ignorance or not knowing or whatever, that you know that your partner is in your corner and shielding the outside world, right? That also part of protection, right? Like protecting the image, right? It's still, it all kind of goes hand in hand. Like there's so many pieces to that puzzle.
Oh wait, but what's funny is, hold on, like the Trigger Mike brought something up we spoke to earlier, hitting a man where he's weak. Her saying that comment, that whole I hate the whole competitive spirit within relationships. Like, compete with me as it relates to seeing which one of us can love each other the most or in the most creative way, something like that. But like, to be competing with one another about like opportunities that y'all are landing, I think that's probably why, as a creative, I probably will never ever date another creative person or whatever, because that industry just makes it really hard, like, to coexist as an artist working with another artist, as an actor working with another actor. Just creates a weird dynamic.
That's
But
why
I feel like,
Hollywood relationships don't work.
right, unless someone's okay with taking the back, like being behind the curtain and rooting that person on. But like, that was a perfect example of her hitting where he was weak. Because it's like, why would you say that? You know what I mean? Like, why would you even compare paychecks? Like, the money, that's great. Like, you should be happy for him. Like, yes, this is us. You know what I mean? But yeah.